Hello, everybody. I hope that you can hear me. Yes, success. You can hear me. I'm so glad. I'm sorry, everyone. We were having a couple technical difficulties at the beginning of the show, but if you aren't sure who you're listening to, it's me, Trishala, and you are yet again watching the Africam Show, and we are watching some very adorable elephants just picking up all that wonderful green vegetation that's beautifully juicy at this time of the year. Now, if you didn't know, Hooray! I am back. Again, I'm very sorry, everybody. Glad that you had all these elephants to keep you company. Um, while I've been trying to figure out my technical difficulties. I actually live with the tech team, um, but they are unavailable to support me right now. But I figured it out, and we're all good. And I'm hoping that it stays this way. I'm also going to blame ESCOM a little bit. Now, I'm not sure where we stopped again, but I think it was when Glenda Newman hello from LaGrange in Indiana. And then we had Denise Holmes says hello from Philadelphia. And then we had Sicko that says that hi, and we hope that I have a good show. So I think that we will now. Everything looks very stable. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for your patience. I'm so glad that these elephants have been around. It's going to be one of those afternoons where we get to spend a lot of time with us. And what's really nice is being able to spend so much time with these little elephants. I see two little ones, one closest to us here that's going to follow Mum. Hello, you. Look at that trunk in the mouth. When they have their trunks in the mouth, especially when they're very young, it's quite a soothing thing. And you'll find that even as they get a little bit older, they still do that, but it will be a little less often. When they're very young, they do it quite a bit. Hi, Aussie Jan, too. Okay, I am here. You can hear me. Okay. Aussie Jan, too, you have an interesting question that is somewhat unrelated to what we're seeing here in these elephants. You would like to know how far can a gecko leap and how fast can a gecko run? Um, I'm just trying to figure out what you said that it's you asking on behalf of Tris. And then you said Poland, thank you, photo submitted. I'm not sure what that's about, but I will tell you that I cannot answer any gecko questions because I absolutely cannot stand them. Um, Geckos are the one thing that I just can't seem to learn to love. From afar, they're fine, but I cannot. There's just something about them. But also, on a more serious note, yes, I still do learn about geckos. I just don't touch them, and I don't like them near me. And it only applies to the the like see-through geckos. The ones that are have pigment, they're fine. But I'm really not sure how fast they can run, nor how long they can leap. But I can tell you that there was a gecko once on my ceiling that fell onto my forehead. Now that's not quite a leap, but it does happen. Oh, look at this little guy. I love, and you see this with little kids as well, especially when children are just starting to crawl and move around, and they like to pick up little things. And like I remember my little cousin used to like to pick up grains of rice or any little tiny bit of sand. And in a way, baby elephants are like that too. They'll use their trunk to pick up the just one blade of grass. And pop that into their mouth or carry it around and play with it, because it's more about learning about how to move for humans, their fingers and their arms, and how that links to their eyesight and developing their hand-eye coordination. And for baby elephants, it's about using that trunk and developing the trunk-eye coordination, which is it sounds quite funny, but it's definitely something that needs a lot of development. Mary Momo, you say hi all from a rainy Hot Springs, Arkansas. Cold and rainy. It was rainy around here as well. It was just hot and rainy, and I love that. It reminds me of summertime in the bush. And now for Cape Town, that's quite unusual because the Western Cape of South Africa receives winter rainfall, not summer rainfall. So this heat and rainfall reminds me a lot of the low veld where the majority of our cameras are, because that is in the eastern half of South Africa where they get summer rains. So I was feeling quite bushy over the last few days. Look at this. Look at the touching of their trunks. A bit of a confrontation. So initially there was the touching of the trunks, which is a way that they will often greet each other. But then maybe they wanted to show a little bit of aggression as well, and then we saw that little scuffle. But it's pretty much friendly. They're hanging out together, they're drinking together. If it was serious, you would know it. That was half-hearted. I love when they breathe out and the trunk is on the ground and then you see the sand just spray. So beautiful. Oh, look at this little calf. Well, lamb, actually. Impala lambs always look like they really need to grow into their forehead and their legs. It's just so disproportionate. Our baby impalas will spend a lot of time just lying up like this. But they'll be near mum quite a bit. Now for those first few days, it might lie up even away from mum. So mum might join the herd again, while the baby lies up in some grass and will basically just not move. No matter what comes its way, it will just stay put. Unless, of course, it mistakes whatever's coming for its mum or it sees its mum. Gardenia, you say Dural from Toronto is so happy to join you or me and others with a morning coffee in hand. You've been missing Monty, but there's so many babies about. I really hope that one of the days, we're wrapping up now, maybe next year, I really hope to see Monty when we do one of these Africam shows on a Tuesday. Maybe, get to know Monty a little bit better, because I too would like to spend some time with Monty. But Gardenia, you also add that there's so many babies about. Yeah, just like this little one. Get a good sniff from mum, a good lick. Impala mums can be very, very attentive. Carol K9S, you say good morning from Richmond, USA. Good morning. Oh, Sarah, you say, hello Sarah, I didn't realize you were joining us. Thank you. You say Google says that geckos can run 3 to 5 miles per hour and can run up one wall. Can run up a wall at 1 meter per second. No, Sarah, no. No. In fact, Bob from Kalamazoo would like to know how far do I leap when the gecko fell on me. Bob, I leapt faster than that gecko can run up a wall, I'll tell you that. But you see, Bob, when that happened, I think that's what started the whole gecko thing. So it was a bit of a... yeah. Anyway, now I move pretty fast. And it's very unusual because I'll play with spiders and anything else, and then a gecko comes into the room and I kind of become a different person. Anna Emerson, you say, hi Trishana from a chilly Boston. At what age do the baby elephant tusks fully develop or are visible? That's an excellent question. In fact, we can actually move on to this the Ellie's at Rosie's pan while we discuss your question, Anna, and there's also another question from Gardenia about Ellie. So let's move on and have a look at them there. There we go. So Anna, you wanted to know at what age do the baby elephant tusks fully develop? So when baby elephants are born, they have what are known as tushes. So what these are kind of placeholders for tusks. And you can't see their tusks, it's just kind of it's like, you see where the tusks are coming out of these adults? Imagine the tusk is not there, but that rounded section on the trunk or on either side of the trunk is still there. So when they're born, they have those. And then they start to, basically the purpose of those tushes is to add direction to the growing tusks, so the tusks that will then grow from that area. And then by about a year, or in fact more than a year, about 2 years old, you're going to start to see little points coming up, tiny little ones, and only at about 5. So see this individual that's in front of us now with the tiny tusks out? That's at about 3 to 5 years old. So when it just pops out, before that, it's just a tiny little one. So you're going to first start to see tusks, real tusks, not tushes, between 2 and 3, and it's just going to be just a tiny bit. Only between 3 and 5 do we actually get to see something that resembles a tusk, like, something significant. Then Gardenia, you say that Jural is wondering, how is it that elephants don't hurt one another with those huge tusks? And it's only because they're very careful. Because they certainly can hurt each other with those huge tusks. Look at this one lying on the back of its friend. They can hurt each other very badly with those huge tusks. But they try not to, because if they had to engage fully like that, in a full combat, then both the individuals involved in that fight run the risk of getting hurt. So the purpose of having those tusks really is not to defend themselves, or rather yes, having tusks in itself is to defend themselves. It offers some kind of protection, but the tusks being large and pointy and curved, those types of attributes say more about how threatening that individual is. So the larger the tusks you are, the more likely you are going to engage in a fight. So it's how big they are is part of a display, a dominance display, to make sure that they don't actually have to engage in a fight. So they try to do most of their talking just by showing off their impressive tusks, as opposed to actually engaging. Once they do engage, if it gets to that, it can be absolutely deadly. Bill Grims, you say greetings from South Carolina. Bob, he's still talking about geckos, Bob. Bob from Kalamazoo says that geckos can jump 5 to 6 times their body length and run 3 to 5 miles per hour. Similar to my speed when I see them. Mr. Metz 85, you say, hello, Trishala. Hello to you. You say, is it true that elephants never forget? It is something that is very, very difficult to measure. But it is true that they are able to remember things for a long, long time. Now, the way that we are able to know this, even before we could empirically test it, even though it's difficult, there still have been tests done. But the way that we know this is because elephants are able to use parts from, say, one water source to another, or one area of an abundance of grass to another. Oh yes, we've got some weavers, masked weavers, that are building their nests. Wonderful. I just want to finish up that question from Mr. Metz 85. So elephants are able to remember these paths that they have taken, maybe when they were a calf, that their matriarch took them through, and now this calf is the current matriarch of a herd, and they will be able to remember those paths. So that's why we have this impression that elephants have a good memory, and I think it is sound because I've seen elephants learn things, and to learn you must remember. And there've even been cases of elephants remembering good or bad experiences that they've had. But also, we can tell because elephants may have a bad experience with, say, a vehicle that is speeding along or pushes it off the road and then behaves badly towards another vehicle. It's not that simple because it has to be memory involved. It has to remember that that had happened in the first place and that it was a vehicle. So I'd say that, yes, elephants do have a fantastic memory, but it's just difficult to empirically test that because it is somewhat subjective. We're not sure if it's a memory that's being used to detect different parts, or if it's something else, if it's the smell of water or anything like that. But I agree. I say that elephants do in fact have a fantastic memory. Carol K. Niners, you say big tusks a heck of a deterrent? Absolutely. And then Deborah D. Matot, you say, why do some elephants have lots of hair in the tail and some don't? So that's usually related to age. Some elephants actually have lost that edge of the tail because it's an easy thing for predators to grab onto. You see lots of stubby tail elephants. But if you're actually talking about the end, and some have a bushy end, some have a more sparse end, it's usually to do with age. Those hairs fall out, they're hitting around their bottom quite a lot to chase away flies, so those hairs fall quite a lot. So and it might even be something that's related to their genetics, because hair is quite a variable thing. How much hair, what color, etc. Glenda Newmancraft, you say you love the elephant's eyes. They always look so loving and caring. They do have very soft eyes, and you can actually tell a lot from them with their eyes. If their eyelids are low, then they're quite relaxed, and you can feel quite safe. Even if their body language is relaxed, but their eyes are wide, it should tell you that they're still a little bit on edge, and that should give you some kind of indication that you too should be a little bit cautious. Ben Edwards, you say hello from Kentucky. Hello, Ben Edwards. All right, we're going to go for a little bit longer since, I was full of technical difficulties at the beginning. So you can keep your comments coming through, and now we can actually focus a little bit on our weavers. I know there's always lots and lots of elephant questions, and that's perfectly fine. If you have more questions, send them through, because they're amazing animals and they deserve to have the attention that they get. Anyway, looks like we have some southern masked weavers. All building their nets, I was going to say nets, their nests. Now, other weavers that we also get around are, of course, like village weavers that can look quite similar, but it obviously depends on where they build their nests. Therese Arthur, you say good morning. And then Judy Poyer, I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly. You say, what are the bell-like things the birds are going into? Those are the nests. So these are weavers, and they build these nests. Oh, there's a little fight that's going on there. These nests are weaved out of grass, sometimes even out of bits of lichen, whatever they can get their beaks on. And then they hold on and they start to weave. And the way that they do that is that they first create a loop. It's kind of like if you're crocheting or knitting a beanie. So they just first build one line, except they link it up, so it's a loop, and then they hang off the loop and they continue to weave and build, and they make actually uh, quite intricate weaves. It's not just as simple as pushing through, you know, one and then the other. They make half hitches, they make knots. Now, whether they actually know that that's what they're doing, I don't know, but they have actually quite a repertoire of weaving techniques to make sure that they can build this nest effectively, and of course make sure that the female will like it once she comes through. And you can see that they're really fresh, they're still green, but soon enough they will get brown and start to get dry. Usually that happens once the breeding season is over and you see them kind of littered on the ground. And they might make very many different nests, because if a female doesn't like this nest, the male will have to start again and maybe will choose another section and have to start all over again. He might undo what he's done here, but more likely they'll start a whole fresh one on another side. But you can obviously see that there's a preference for trees. They like these trees that offer a little bit of protection, maybe a little bit thorny. If it's a village weaver, they're going to really like areas that are closer to the water as opposed to masked weaver. And you'll see clumps of these. Gardenia, you say you've not seen any crocs out and about lately. Is it because it's summertime? No, it would have just been, luck. Crocs would have a great time in summer, just like they do in winter. Remember, here in Africa, Southern Africa specifically, we don't really have animals that hibernate. They may estivate, which is just a time where animals basically have lower activity, so then it's not hibernation, and that would happen in winter and when it's really cold, and it's more associated with the availability of resources than temperature. So having not seen any crocodiles lately, I think it's just your luck. You just have to keep on watching the cams, but they will be out and about. In fact, in the summer, you probably see them a little bit more active because it's warmer, and them being reptiles means that they will be able to regulate their temperature a little bit better. And you might see them moving around in the water quite a bit too. In fact, I'm not sure if it was last week Tuesday or the Tuesday before we had some crocs on the cam. So just keep an eye out, Gardenia. I'm sure you will find them. Anyway, again, my deepest apologies for my technical mishaps at the beginning, but I think that we had a wonderful time with the elephants and with these weavers as well. Oh, and that little impala lamb that was sitting very cutely with its big forehead. But it's time to say goodbye. Thank you all for your patience and your questions and your comments. And then I'll see you next week. I won't see you on Thursday, but I will see you again before the year is up.